Favour Ofili just dropped a bombshell on Nigeria by dumping Nigeria and switching her allegiance to Turkey. Now, what this means for a professional athlete is that she cannot compete for either country for the next 3 years until all formalities have been completed. Yet, she chose to do that knowing that she will be losing sponsorship money for missing out on participating in things like the upcoming World Championships in Tokyo. There is more to this story, and for that more, stay tuned to Tega's Takes. Most people heard about Favour Ofili when she burst onto the scene after being named the best female athlete at the Under-19 African Championships after setting new records in the 200 meters and the 400 meters. To make it even sweeter, she went on to the World Championships and participated there, and all these performances caught the eye of some scouts, and she was able to earn herself a scholarship in the United States of America in 2020. At this time, she was just 16. Now, at 2020, she went on to her college to break certain records, compete at different levels, and raise her performance. With all of these performances, she qualified to compete for Nigeria in the 100 meters and the 200 meters at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Here comes the kicker. They arrive in Tokyo and 10 Nigerian athletes, including Favour Ofili, were not able to compete despite qualifying. Why? Because the Nigerian Athletics Federation failed to ensure that all their athletes met the drug testing requirements that will enable them to compete at this level. So, despite qualifying, the administrative issues of the Athletics Federation caused her not to participate at the Tokyo Olympics. Everybody was sad, but the Federation didn't take any responsibility for it. In fact, no heads rolled at the Federation after this happened. Athletes moved on, the country moved on after the outcry, even the media moved on. Fast forward to 2024 Paris Olympics. Favour Ofili had competed so well. She qualified for the 100 meters and the 200 meters again for Nigeria, only for her to get to Paris Olympics and found out that she wasn't even registered for the 100 meters. Shocker, she was Nigeria's fastest female that qualified for the 100 meters, but the Federation did not register her for that race. Now, when the news came out, there was again another outburst by the citizens, everybody else. At some point, some people were even blaming Favour Ofili, saying that she knows the kind of country she comes from, where all these administrative lapses tend to happen, that she should have followed through. What? You can't even register as an individual athlete. Your country has to register you. How are we then blaming Favour? And so, with the outcry, there was an investigative panel set up. They found out that it was actually the Athletics Federation of Nigeria that had this administrative incompetence. And so, what was the solution? They compensated her with 8 million naira. In fact, the Federation started leaking information out that Favour Ofili is an uncontrollable athlete, she's too entitled and all of that, that they'd rather have disciplined athletes in quote, disciplined and humble athletes in quote, than have, Favour Ofili participate with Nigeria. So after the debacle of the 2024 Olympics, Favour Ofili and her team quietly decided to exit Nigeria and switch to Turkey. Now, some people have come out to say she's unpatriotic. Why should she dump her country? And some other people are saying, of course, after treating her poorly like that from the Federation, she has to leave the country. Whichever side of the divide you stand on, you have to recognize that Favour Ofili is not the first Nigerian athlete to dump Nigeria for another country because of the same administrative incompetencies. The Olympic comes once every 4 years. She already had a problem in 2020 and then in 2024. Do you want her to wait till LA 2028 and another administrative debacle before you recognize that maybe Favour Ofili and the other athletes were not the problem. Those are my thoughts. What do you think?